from each happily ever after, every wish upon a star. Let's break down the movies that shaped who we are, from memory lane to now and everything in between. The most famous of films to the ones we've never seen. Decade by decade, all the times we laughed and cried, and with a little pixie dust, they will all take flight, reliving the feelings, and we're trying our very best. And if they mean the same to you, please be our guest. So hop aboard, we would love to have you as we hang with a certain mouth, the whole gang too. If you love nostalgia stuff, we hope this does the trick. Thanks for joining us as we deep dive the magic.
Hi, and welcome back to the Deep Diving the Magic podcast. I'm KJ.
And I'm Jeffrey, and we hope that everybody had a fun and memorable Memorial Day weekend. But today we are back with the 97th Disney feature-length film. We are almost at 100. It's amazing. It's amazing. 97. The 97th Disney feature-length film from July the 1st, 1970, because that's right, we have made it to the 70s for those following along. And that film is called The Boatniks. The Boatniks is a live-action film that I bet you've never heard of, because I didn't know about it. Have you ever heard of The Boatniks?
Mm-mm.
It's a live-action film, much in like the vein of That Darn Cat and The Search of the Castaways and films like that. Fun. Even if you asked me to spell the word Boatnik, I wouldn't have spelt it right. But I guess it's like beatniks with a boat. But would you like to give us a synopsis about the second film of the 1970s?
Newly assigned to duty in the Coast Guard at Newport Beach, a young ensign finds himself involved in romantic complications as well as with jewel thieves whose antics contribute to moments of hysteria and hilarity.
Yeah, I mean that's quite the in-depth synopsis there.
Better than the last one.
The last one just gave it all away. Any facts that you want to kick us off with, or
So the term boatnik of the film was arguably a spoof of the word beatnik, like you just referenced.
Right. Yeah, I just guessed. I don't know.
Which had become the term known in popular culture since the 1950s. The latter can be defined as a person from the 1950s or early 60s who was associated with the Beat generation. So a boatnik, therefore, a parody of this, where a seafaring person can be said to belong to the boat generation. And the picture was made and released approximately a decade after the 1960 film The Beatniks in 1958.
We did not review The Beatniks.
I don't think it was a Disney movie, but
No, it did not. Anything else, or are we just flying right through?
Well, you didn't really touch on any of the people that were in it.
Yeah, there's a couple of familiar faces.
Yeah, so the Bumbling Crooks was a Disney movie staple, and in this film, they wound up with more important roles than the heroes, like later in the Apple Dumpling Gang, which I guess we will be covering
soon, very soon.
soon.
So like the bad guys from this film play the good guys in that film.
Yeah. And then I don't think they played good guys in the next film. They ended up being more important than the heroes in that. Anyway, many of the actors in this film would be or were known in television, including Phil Silvers, Stephanie Powers, Wally Cox, Norman Fell, and years later on Mad Men, and then Robert Morse.
Yeah, sure.
Mhm. The rest of it I can just film in later.
All right.
Well, I guess if you want another whatever. The film's movie poster tagline was Man the Laugh Boats, which was a spoof of the well-known nautical seafaring phrase Man the Lifeboats,
I mean,
which I thought was funny.
that's a laugh-boatable pun right there.
Yeah.
So we're gonna jump right in to
Sure.
the Boatniks, the second film of the year 1970.
Hmm.
We see the Coast Guard uh, and a crew that are helping a lost boat who were lost because they were drunk.
Hmm.
We also see a runaway Volkswagen Bug fall into the water, so it is just setting us up for some hijinks. There's a bunch more boating nonsense during the opening credits, including the Coast Guard helping somebody give birth. So that's what this film is going to be about.
They're just
Boating
helping
nonsense.
everyone.
Yes, they are. Um, the Coast Guard. We learn that the Coast Guard guy is transferring, and the new Coast Guard, like general, um, will be someone whose father was like a Coast Guard legend, like he was like a wartime hero.
Hmm.
Um, it cuts to the new guy who I like refer to as recruit throughout this film. I don't even know what his name was. They refer to him a bunch,
I don't
but
think I wrote it
I
down.
just refer to him as like recruit. Um, and so it cuts to the new guy, and he's late because he was being pulled over by a cop.
Hmm.
The cop is busy writing him like a cop's like on a motorcycle, and this dude was speeding trying to get to this thing because he was late. And so while he's getting pulled over by this cop, the cop's writing him a ticket. We see three men um, who we learned that just pulled off a $2 million jewel heist. I did not look up how much money that was. They are trying to go to Mexico, but the traffic is bad. One of the men, or so they pull off the road to get gas and figure out what's going on.
Hmm.
One of the guys really wants a fudgicle, so he like breaks into like the fudgicle machine to steal a fudgicle, almost blowing their cover. Um, and then so this dude finally leaves the like getting pulled over, the new Coast Guard recruit, and he ends up rear-ending the criminals
Hmm.
in the traffic. But they don't want him to open the trunk because it's full of jewels.
Hmm.
Even though this guy's like, "Oh, I want to pay for the damages." No, 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 it's fine.
No, 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 but your trunk.
Yeah.
And the
Um,
trunk was like kind of all crumpled
yep,
up.
it's smashed in, and they're like, "Oh no, the
Yeah.
jewels." Um, all the all the passerbys say that it was the sailor's fault, uh, which causes the cop to come back. Um, um, they very nervously will not let anybody open their trunk, like we said. But at the same time as this, the cop's radio is talking about the criminals. But the cop doesn't hear this.
Hmm.
But so they're able to get away without anything. And then at the same time, the new recruit finally arrives to the boating dock.
Hmm.
More boating hijinks occurs. There's like a bunch of bikini wearing ladies that are trying to recruit the guy to come aboard their ship to party.
Hmm.
Um, the recruit knocks a paint bucket onto this lady who's painting her boat. You want to talk about that? Any detail?
So I think it was kind of like a bucket hat she had on. She was painting this boat yellow. Um, his bag hits the paint, knocks it over on her. She tells him that yellow is not her color, and she keeps wiping it off of herself, and it really bothered me because she could have made it so much easier had she just taken the hat off, because it would have stopped dripping all over her. But
Yeah, she was like covered
it's
in
a
yellow
movie, so
paint.
why would she do that, I guess?
Hey, she's going to be a big part in this film.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe that's why they call it a bucket hat because the paint bucket fell on her.
Sure.
He looks really overwhelmed. He's watching all the boats. He ends up falling into the bay himself.
Hmm.
It then cuts to the criminals stuffing different types of food with jewels and putting them into a picnic basket. We're talking about all the foods that they were like cutting open and everything.
Yeah, so they had like a baguette. They like pretty much are just like hollowing these things out so they can stuff their jewels in them. Baguette, a sausage, pickles.
Yeah, they were eating the
Um,
pickles and they were stuffing them.
I forgot what else there was, but it was just like stuff that you wouldn't think to bring on a picnic, I didn't feel like.
It was like a whole like turkey leg and like all this stuff.
No, I think it was like a whole chicken.
Mm.
I don't know. It was stuff that like I would have never thought to take on a picnic.
But they stuffed it with $2 million worth of jewels.
Yeah.
Um, so they're stuffing it into their picnic basket, and they're gonna sail to Mexico because traffic is so bad. They are gonna sail to Mexico. Um,
Hmm.
they have this boat about how to sail or something.
A book.
A book. That's what I meant. Sorry, a boat doesn't make any sense. Sorry, a book about how to sail.
Yep.
The criminal sailors. There's three of them. They dress all fancy and they're gonna rent a small boat.
Yep.
Uh, they talk to the paint lady, who we learn is like in charge of like the boat rentals. Um,
She also teaches sailing classes.
yep, she's like kind of like the person in charge.
Hmm.
They talk to her about renting a boat. They rent a boat that is far too big for their lack of knowing what's going on,
Hmm.
and at the same time, the new recruit guy, I wish I wrote his name down, is out trying to say like he's doing his Coast Guard duty, and he ends up saving these people whose boat is stuck on the rocks. And the guy is played by Grandpa Munster.
His name was Ensign,
No,
but I guess they called him by his last name, which was Garland.
Ensign is like a
That's his name, Ensign Garland.
so his name I think his name was Jim. I think Ensign is like a role that he played. Like he's like a
Well, they called
corporal
him
or something.
Ensign Garland,
Yeah, so like
but
he's
I think they referenced him a lot as Garland.
yeah, so I think like Ensign was kind of like a corporal or something. But either way,
I guess.
um, he ends up saving Grandpa Munster. You could absolutely tell it's Grandpa Munster who is stuck on the rocks, and he gets like into a fight with like Grandpa's fighting with like his wife, and
He should have come here.
but like Garland, the recruit, ends up getting stuck himself on the rocks.
Okay.
I looked it up. It was definitely him.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Um, the the criminals are having a heck of a time learning how to sail. They're much better criminals than they are yachtmen. Um, the paint girl from earlier is taking her boating lessons of kids, and they take him over to try to help the recruit who got his boat stuck.
Hmm.
The criminals run into a pier, and they think that they made it to Mexico, but really it's just a taco place. Thoughts on that?
Yeah. Mucho taco.
Um, the recruit gets again Garland gets yelled at by his boss of the Coast Guard, which is going to become a reoccurring theme.
Hmm.
Um, being because he had to be saved by the girl in a sailboat. Um, actually, I'm not even going to read what he said because that was really inappropriate. Um, he said a line that 100% didn't age well. The boss did,
I'm sure he did.
um, referring to the war, World War II. Um, so whatever that evening he survived his day. That evening he bumps into Miss Fairchild, who is the paint lady, and they bicker and discuss staying out of each other's lives, but they end up getting talked into sharing a table because like it's such like a busy restaurant that like since they're both alone, they end up sharing a table, and they end up laughing and having a great time.
Hmm.
The next day, the recruit Garland and Miss Fairchild are showing boating to the children
Hmm.
when they see the criminal's boat is lost in the fog. More hijinks. The two ships collide, and the criminal boat begins to sink. And they said that they can't send for the lifeguard or the Coast Guard because they are the Coast Guard. But in this sinking, what happens? The picnic basket full of the jewels sinks to the bottom of the ocean or the lake, whatever it is, pond, ocean. I would assume it's an ocean
Ocean.
because they're going to Mexico.
And
So the
there's also sharks
so the
later.
picnic basket of the jewels sinks. But Garwin also gets in trouble, so he messes up one more time. It is over for him. His boss is not having it anymore. So the next scene, we see that the criminals are trying to fish out the picnic basket.
Hmm.
More hijinks ensues. Men being pervs because like this party boat full of people in their uh, bikinis goes by. The Coast
That
Guards
didn't even have like an engine, right?
no,
Was that what it was? It
yeah,
was
it was just like
missing.
a party
It was
boat.
missing something.
Yeah,
But he rents one every year. to go on
to
their
go on this.
cruise.
Yeah, it takes them like all like multiple days to get there or something.
Yeah.
The Coast Guard spots the criminal fishing boat, uh, who is being pulled by a fish. It's a record-sized fish. Want to talk about this fish?
I don't remember what kind it was. I just know that they were like, slow down, and they're like, we're not doing anything, and we're gonna have to give you a ticket if you don't. And it's like, okay, we'll give the fish the ticket.
Because it was like this massive, like whale-sized fish.
Yeah.
And they end up catching the fish, and it's setting all these records because it's like in the picture. I'm not gonna find a picture because there's no way I'm gonna find this
Yeah,
spot in the
well, at
film. But
one point, one of the guys tells him to just let the fishing rod go, and he goes, I can't, I rented it.
yeah, that's true. That was funny. But they like so that ends up they make the newspaper for like how big this is, and it's like the biggest fish. It's like
Mhm.
massive. But they
And our girl's the only one
um
that's smart enough to figure it out.
yeah. What I wrote here is that Miss Fairchild thinks that this is fishy, pun intended, because the three men in the photo are all hiding their faces
Except for Garland.
except for Garland. She's like, can you like they're
Why
not
would you
hiding.
want to hide your face?
If you just caught the world's biggest fish, why would you want to hide your face? The
Um,
Garland's like, oh, whatever. Whatever. The next day, the Coast Guard sees the criminals are back at it, and they are trying to dive. They're trying to, some will say, deep dive for the picnic basket. Um, and the Coast Guard at this point is really starting to wonder what they are doing and what's going on. And this is where we see a shark. A shark begins to approach the crook yachtsman.
mhm.
Um, you want to talk about the shark?
Ironically, once again, I swear, everything listens to us. And not long after we watched this movie, I saw something online about
Shark Week.
no, there's been the largest great white ever was spotted off the coast of the Carolinas.
Yeah.
And apparently, I guess it was originally seen somewhere off the coast of Florida and it was tagged, and then it disappeared for several months and nobody knew where it was. And then it just recently resurfaced off the coast of North Carolina. So I guess if you're going to get in the water in the coast of North Carolina, be careful because they don't know how close it's going to come. But I learned from this because I was sitting there thinking, how does this shark disappear for such a long time? And apparently, when sharks are tagged, it only pings when their dorsal fin actually comes to the surface.
Hmm.
So
Well, can I
we
tell you?
see a dorsal fin pop up, and our guys on the boat are
Can
like,
can
uh-oh.
I before you do that? Can I tell you my shark story from today or this week?
Sure.
Um,
See? Everything's watching us.
pull the curtain back. I had to borrow your car, and my phone does not link to your car, so I can't listen to podcasts such as Deep Dive the Magic podcast. I listen to the radio,
Okay.
and they do this quiz on the radio in the morning. And one of the quiz questions
Mm-hmm.
was about whatever. It was about pop culture,
Yeah.
and Shark Week is coming up. I guess I don't really know much about Shark Week,
It used to
but
always be in August, but
all right, well maybe they're just prepping earlier.
I
Um,
think they've started moving it up then.
they are doing
Hmm.
a Dancing with the Stars version of Dancing with Sharks, where people dive in the water and they do choreographed routines. Dancing with
With
Sharks.
sharks. Yeah, no, I'm okay with that.
Shark bait.
Maybe
Um,
Lacey will do it.
whatever. So the diver guy sees the sharks. He ends up giving up because he's like coming face to face with a shark.
Mhm.
The Coast Guard is alerted of the sharks because they're
Mhm.
doing their dancing routine, and the recruit, Mr. Garland, shoots the shark. But they're all like nervous, like "Don't shoot us!" But really, he shoots the shark. He nails it. That evening, this all causes the criminals to argue, and they are I don't know what the heck word correct autocorrect changed this word, but they end up oh, it must have been the word scuba. They changed it to pesto. So they end up hiring a professional scuba diver. Pesto diver, in case you're wondering. Um,
From Japan.
yep, from Japan. Well, not they're not there yet, but oh yeah, yes, they call Japan for this thing. The next day, everyone is celebrating that this other sailor is going to begin his trip around the world
Hmm.
in like this boat he's been trying to fix up, kind of like in 50 First Dates, which is not Disney, but I did just watch that. But this guy is all excited to go on his trip. Why? Because he's got about 1 million kids, and he's trying to get away from his kids. And his wife is so excited to get away from for the guy to leave, probably because she doesn't want to have any more kids. Anything else on that?
No.
Um, at the same time, Miss Fairchild is on to the three men and convinces the new recruit Garland to look into them. Um, the around the world venture guy couldn't even make it out of the bay. He ends up getting crashing into another boat, and the lady gets all upset because again she's probably gonna have more kids. Um, so at the same time, recruit Garland sees a newspaper reminding him of that the three jewel thieves are still being at large. The pearl, that's the word. So it changed pearl into pesto, not scuba. Pearl. So the pearl diver arrives, but she doesn't speak English. She is again from
Well, they just assume she doesn't speak English because she's from Japan.
well, she's speaking Japanese at first.
But then our people kind of talk to her like in a Spanish accent and randomly say Spanish things to her ever so often, and it's like, really?
It was pearl diver, not pesto diver.
Okay, well, there you go.
So they don't think she speaks English. At the same time, Garland, our recruit, does some research at the hotel about the men, and he runs into them.
Interesting. Before we get too far off from them diving and the shark and stuff. Um, so when the thieves are dredging the bottom of the water, they pull up a life ring from the Flying Dutchman, a
Really?
legendary ghost ship, also the ship of Davy Jones in the Pirates of the Caribbean
Which
movies.
was a sunken ship, but we'll get there in a bunch of years because we are
That was
only
that was
in
my
the
other trivia fact.
1970s now.
That was my
So
other
we are almost there,
trivia fact.
but we are only in the 70s.
All right, I'm done.
Pesto diver. Um, so the pearl diver. Oh, so everyone is really suspecting these guys now. Um, he homeboy was snooping around their hotel.
Mhm.
We cut to the pearl diver who's attempting to find the jewels. Um, but she at first can't. So she at first she can't find the basket, but then eventually she is able to retrieve it.
Mhm.
Pretty anticlimactic. She just finds it.
Mhm.
The Coast Guard and Miss Fairchild are watching this through binoculars. And the diver then speaks English, perfect English, demanding much more money, demanding $25,000 and more money.
When they're like, "Wait, you speak English?" And she's like, I watched some movies last night."
Yeah. Um,
And then she's like, "No, really, you just assumed I didn't, but I do."
she wants more money. She demands more money, and then she steals some of the jewelry before leaving.
Yep. I don't blame her.
Mhm. The Coast Guard sees her leaving with the jewels, and they sneak up for a closer look.
Mhm.
Um, of course, this alerts Garland's boss,
Mhm.
who thinks he's a prowler, thinking to prowl on this dude's wife. And so he calls the police. Garland tries to explain himself, but the boss doesn't believe his reasoning. So he's he's in trouble. Um, at the same time, the jewel thieves are calling Mexico. They call like the operator for Mexico, and
Mhm.
they order like a seaplane to come pick them up. A plane, but the only one the place had was a seaplane to come pick them up. The small little like puddle jumper seaplane thing,
Mhm.
and they're gonna pick them up and the jewels. Uh, the Garland is arguing with his boss when the criminals arrive. So they like he like demands that they open up the basket. And what falls out of the basket? All the jewels. Just kidding. A bunch of food, which makes Garland look like a fool. So our recruit has been relieved of his command. His boss is like, "That's it. I've seen enough."
Hmm.
But at the same time, a pelican
The pelican saves the day.
steals a pickle.
Gross.
Kind of like the pelican saves the day in The Little Mermaid too. But a pelican steals a pickle. I mean, he plays a part. He helps. Don't give me that look. I've seen it, the snore flap or whatever.
The seagull? Or are you talking about Finding
No, no,
Nemo?
there's a pelican. I guess I was gonna say a pelican in both, but I guess it's a seagull and The Little Mermaid. You're right.
Okay.
I just don't know. I know my Disney movies better than most. I just don't know my birds. A pelican steals a pickle. And Fairchild realizes that the jewels are inside the food. So our former recruit now, Garland, decides to pursue.
Hmm.
Um, a hijinks-filled boat chase ensues. The criminals abandon ship with the picnic basket. They enter the party boat, but they escape through the party boat in a perfectly timed. They end up inside of a submarine, a perfectly placed
A
submarine.
yellow one.
It's true. The Beatles would be proud. Um, Tom, that's his name. Tom Garland. So there you go.
There
Name
you
was
go.
Tom.
I just knew his
It,
name was
it, it
gonna
literally
rhyme.
took me till like six more notes till the end to write down this homeboy's first name. Tom, he sees the submarine escape,
Hmm.
so he chases after them. He ends up getting like in like a rowboat with the Sea Scouts.
Hmm.
Fairchild runs and gets the chief, who's not happy.
Hmm.
But the criminals get off the submarine at the seaplane, but the seaplane can't take off. Why? Because it's too heavy. There is too much weight. So they have to lighten the load. They idiotically, they're throwing everything off. They're throwing like safety precautions, everything off. But they accidentally throw out the picnic basket with the jewels, which is clearly what was weighing them down. So then instantly the plane takes off. So
Not their
the
smartest
the
criminals.
the criminal guy, the mastermind guy goes, well, maybe the movie will be good. And pulls like the movie screen down, which I thought was like a good pun for this. Maybe the movie will be good. Yeah, you're sticking the landing. Good job. Um, Tom and Fairchild and the boss locate the jewels and they notify the Mexican authorities. Uh, so then at the same time, it cuts to them like, hey, we did it. Fairchild tries on one of the rings, one of the jewels, and she realizes that she can't get it off of her finger. So then
Hmm.
Homeboy just smoothly uses it as an engagement ring and gives her a kiss. You can't get it off anyway, so you're stuck with him. Um, and at the end, they are heading towards the submarine, and the film ends, leaving it open for a sequel. We will see, because we are 55 years after this and we haven't got it yet. I can't believe that we have at least 55 more years of films to watch, but I look forward to it because I love the Disney company. But that was the second film of the 1970s,
Hmm.
film number 97. So did you rate this? What were your thoughts? And we'll go from there.
So IMDb gave it a 5.6 out of
Are you just
10.
making this up because your screen is dark?
Nope. I looked at it as you kept going and I memorized it so I wouldn't have to look at it again. IMDb gave it a
The
5.6,
teleprompter is off. Sorry, go ahead.
5.6 out of 10. And I gave it a 6 out of 10.
If I didn't keep going, all these people would be like on a cliffhanger.
Okay, well, anyway. It did not steal its way onto my list. My
Your
list upon a
exclusive
star.
list. Your exclusive list upon a star
Yeah.
through the second film of 1970s.
Yes.
Don't you give me that look. You love the 70s. Go ahead.
All right, so my list upon a star so far is 101 Dalmatians, The Parent Trap, Sleeping Beauty, Dumbo, The Jungle Book, Lady and the Tramp, That Darn Cat, The Three Caballeros, Moon Pilot, and The Shaggy Dog.
Yeah, so this movie was fun. Um, it was fun. It it brought it back to, like I said, the search for the castaways and the that darn cat and just a bunch of hijinks after a bunch of hijinks after a bunch of hijinks. What was the film that we watched recently? Oh, The Curse of Blackbeard or whatever, Blackbeard's Ghost, where like there was like just a bunch of hijinks. This unfortunately hits the misfortune of I have a very strong list right now. So my list upon a star is 101 Dalmatians, Mary Poppins, Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, Babes in Toyland, Pinocchio, Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs from the beginning, Sleeping Beauty, and The Jungle Book. But that was through 97 films. Like I said, we are quickly approaching 100.
Hmm.
And when we get to 100, we're going to change things up a little bit. We might have a different area. We'll see. We're going to have some fun. But either way, speaking of moving on, we are moving over to December of 1970. We are almost done with the first year of the 70s.
Hmm.
Um, from December the 15th, 1970, film number 98. Speaking of almost being done, we're almost done with this with the double digits. There's a film called The Wild Country, which I look forward to talking to you about.
Hmm.
Again, we are on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and you can email us at deepdiveinthemagicpod@gmail.com. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for everything. Um, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for deep diving the magic.
Bye.
Bye.